Hi, I'm Hernandez, and this is Book Chat with You. In this podcast, I tried to structure most of these videos, most of these audio podcasts to be that which I'm trying to create a conversation with you. That is the goal here, is to chat about literature and not just have me tell you what I think, as if you need one more person in your life telling you what to think. Maybe that's okay at times, but you can probably use one less person in your life telling you what to do or what to think or something like that. So inside of this video, we are looking at San Francisco thrillers. It's also the same story I looked at inside the first live stream that I'd done. Not that that's a pattern that I will always repeat. So this is a pretty, I don't think it's a very extensive volume. Here it is. I will try to show a cover, the book cover here as well. It's pretty interesting. So this is a collection of noir thrillers and such, all short stories, of course. And it's pretty interesting that enough different people thought that San Francisco was a good enough setting to view as a open-air prison colony. And it's not my opinion, so it's just enough authors seem to have thought that it was a good setting for it. I would imagine that this first story that we will be looking at by Bill Pronzini, I hope I said his name correctly, that I would imagine that this story is filled with quite a few cliches, but like many cliches, based on when the story takes place and probably when it was written, maybe some of these things weren't so cliche at the time. You know, I remember quite a few Star Trek The Next Generation episodes kind of wanted to have this noir setting. I don't think that it worked that well for me, just because by that time I had already watched all of Voyager, so a lot of the holograms weren't so novel to me anymore. And you can tell that they were trying to hype on the novelty of the holograms and such. But, you know, this noir stuff, though it may be cliche, it works. It really, really does work. So inside this first story by Bill Pronzini, it's called A Lousy World. And on the bottom, I will read from the bottom of here, page 1. Award-winning author Bill Pronzini is one of San Francisco's most popular and successful mystery novelists. First published in 1968, his story It's a Lousy World marks the first appearance of the nameless detective, a character who has appeared in 22 of Pronzini's 40 novels. And it's great that the detective is nameless, because gosh, you ever want to just talk about some story and like you wonder about the names and you have to go and double check it, even if the characters had an impact on you, like one of them slips your mind? Well, you're not going to have that problem here because he's got no name, so it's great. So what happens in it is that his friend, who he put away in prison and somehow later had become his friend, Lucille Babcock, was shot dead not too far from a liquor store. And Bill Pronzini is trying to kind of figure out why, or what's going on. He goes to figure out why because Lucille Babcock's wife goes to our nameless detective and asks him for help. And as you can imagine from there, he goes to figure out what the mystery is. I like this mystery. There's not much to say about it. Might not be the most exciting thing, but I like how it all takes place. Stuff like this I should definitely have been more familiar with. That way maybe I would have published my novel 5+ years ago. And I should really get to that, because considering looking at BookTube and how these people just love to criticize bad literature, I would hope that mine would rise above that. So this is a pretty interesting mystery. As you can imagine, the nameless detective, he goes to the liquor stores. He asks a fellow detective, well, an actual detective. I don't know, is that insulting to private eyes? I wouldn't know. I hope not. But then he does go to his detective friend who's still in the police force. He asks for some help from him. He goes to the man's work. And, you know, it's a pretty simple mystery all in all. And what could we discuss in this? Because I want to structure most of these videos to be things that we can discuss together. So amongst the different things that we could discuss together, well, do you like other noir stories? Is this story too cliche? What do you think about having the nameless character? Would you know of anybody who's been wrongfully convicted or something that we can talk about inside of such a way? You know, what about the circumstances that happened to Mr. Babcock? And maybe even the relationship that the nameless detective has with Detective Eberhardt. how he goes to the guy's work, goes to ask for some questions, some things like this. I mean, how might the guy have been framed if he was framed without me trying to ruin the ending and that type of thing, you know? So I do think there's plenty worth discussing here, especially not, hopefully nothing that we can truly relate to in real life, but just things that maybe we would have seen in other stories as well. Well, as I'm trying to do in most of these videos, or at least all of them centered on actual literature, not me just pontificating about my own life experience or just my approach, I will now read a page from this, and then I think that ought to be enough. So here, I'm reading from page 18, and I will do my best to show that page on this side of the screen as I read it. So, page 18. Eberhardt said, I ought to knock you flat on your ass. He had just come out of his bedroom, eyes foggy with sleep, hair standing straight up, wearing a wine-colored bathrobe. Dana stood beside him, looking fretful. I'm sorry I woke you, Eb, I said, but I didn't think you'd be in bed this early. It's only 6 o'clock. He said something I didn't hear. I'm like, damn it. But that Dana heard. I cracked him on the arm to show. She cracked him on the arm to show her disapproval, then turned and left us alone. Eberhardt went over and sat on the couch and glared at me. I've had about 6 hours of sleep in the past 48, he said. I got called out last night after you left. I didn't get home until 3 a.m. I was up at 7. I worked all goddamn day, and I knocked off early so I can get some sleep. And what happens? I'm in my bed 10 minutes and you show up. Eb, it's important. What is? Collie Babcock. Ah, Christ, you don't give it up, do you? Sometimes I do, but not this time. Not now, I told him. And I told him what I learned from the guy at Tay's Liquors. So Babcock brought a bottle there. Eberhardt said, so what? If he was planning on to burglarize a liquor store, do you believe he would have bothered to buy a bottle 15 minutes before? Hell, the guy could have had a spur of the moment. Collie didn't work that way. When he was pulling them off, he was always carefully planning, well in advance, always. He was getting old, Eberhardt said. People change. You didn't know Collie. Besides, there are a few other things, such as the burglaries themselves. They were all done the same way. Backdoor jimmied, marks on the jamb, and lock made with a handbar or something. I paused. The look goes on for a bit. I could probably have screenshot and focused on maybe a prior section where he talked to Eberhardt, but I don't know. Maybe I cannot find a perfect spot, and maybe this video is just long enough, but I would love to talk about this story with you, and hopefully you can find my, some contact information, Discord, locals. I don't know which one to best use right now, whichever one I might actually get people to look at for now. Well, I think this video has been long enough, and I did enjoy this story, and I think that you would enjoy this story as well, by Bill Pronzini. See you later, and have a wonderful day. Bye.